Welcome to Balanced But Barely, a podcast for anyone who looks like they have it all together, but internally has about 47 tabs open in their mind. I'm Carla Jean, and each episode we talk real-life stress, anxiety, and self-regulation in a way that actually makes sense. You'll walk away with practical tools to feel calmer, think clear, and create more balance without needing to hide underneath your weighted blanket by 2 p.m. A special shout out to our affiliate, Find the Good, a clothing brand determined to spread love and awareness one awesome sweatshirt at a time. Please go check them out at findthegood.com and use the promo code CarlaJean143 at the checkout for an exclusive 10% discount because you deserve it. Well, hello, friends. Welcome back to Balanced But Barely, the podcast for people who are trying to become their best selves while simultaneously wondering if eating shredded cheese over the sink counts as dinner. What do we think? Today we're talking about happiness. I think happiness has the worst branding in history. Because somewhere along the way, many of us started treating happiness like it's a destination, like it's hiding behind some finish line, like the promotion, a relationship, a number on the scale, a bigger bank account, a cleaner house, an empty inbox. Oh my gosh, you guys, if you saw how many unread emails I have in my inbox, it would drive you crazy. I don't even see the number anymore, but that's neither here nor there. Or whatever magical life event we've convinced ourselves while finally making everything feel okay. We tell ourselves, I'll be happy when ... and then fill in the blank. Or I'll be happy when I lose weight. I'll be happy when I find love. I'll be happy when my kids are older. I'll be happy when I make more money. I'll be happy when life settles down. And if you've been waiting for life to settle down before you're allowed to feel happiness, I have some very unfortunate news for you. Life appears to have no intention of settling down. Because happiness isn't something we arrive at, it's something we practice. And that's what we're going to talk about today. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why happiness and joy are not the same thing, the biggest myths keeping us from happiness, why your nervous system plays a role in your ability to experience happiness, and practical ways to cultivate happiness even during difficult seasons. We're not talking about fake happiness or toxic positivity, and we are definitely not pretending everything is fine. Real happiness, that's what we're talking about. The kind that exists even when life isn't perfect. All right, let's get into it. I have a few balanced but barely moments for this week, and I have one definitely not balanced at all, no matter how you look at it moment. For this week. This week provided me with ample opportunities to evaluate how much nonsense is too much nonsense, opportunities to utilize my coping skills, and opportunities to thank the lucky stars above that I have been released from obligations that don't matter anyway. What does that mean in real people talk? I think is what I'm hearing from all of you. I'm going to break it down real simple. It means that this week I used up all my give a dams. It means that this week some people found a permanent place on my you can go F yourself list. And it means that I got a lot more free time to do things that actually matter for me. I started this week thinking that it was going to be horrible. I moved through the grossness of it all. And yet I came out at the end of the week with a smile on my face. That is how I define balanced but barely. You don't give up, you move through the grossness, and you come out at the end with a smile. So, do you have a balanced but barely moment for this week? And if you do, I would love to hear about it. Let's start with the question. Have you ever achieved something you thought would make you happy forever, and then 3 weeks later you were stressed about something else? Welcome to being a human. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation, which is a fancy way of saying humans get used to things real fast. We get used to the promotion, the house, the relationship, the achievement, the things you spent months or even years wanting eventually becomes normal. And this isn't because you're ungrateful, it's because your brain is designed to adapt. The problem happens when we keep moving happiness further down the road. When happiness becomes a moving target, because eventually you're living your entire life chasing a future version of happiness instead of experiencing your actual life. I have spent years believing happiness was waiting on the other side of achievement. If I accomplished enough, if I worked hard enough, fixed things enough, healed enough things, then I would finally arrive. Except every time I got there, I moved the goalpost again and again and again. Does this sound familiar? One of the most profound realizations I've had is this: there will always be another mountain. The question is whether you're allowing yourself to enjoy the view along the way. Let's do this mindfulness exercise together. Let's take a slow breath in through your nose and slowly exhale through your mouth. Without changing anything about your life, ask yourself, what's one thing that's good right now? Not perfect, not amazing, just good. What's one thing that's good right now? Maybe it's your morning coffee. Maybe it's your friend, your pet, a comfortable bed, a warm shower, a quiet moment. Notice how quickly your mind wants to dismiss it. And then gently bring your attention back. Because happiness often hides in these ordinary moments. It has taken me far too long to realize that external validation does not deliver internal happiness, a sense of self, or a clear path forward. I relied on other people's feelings and opinions about me to dictate how I felt about myself. But if I sit long enough with that statement, I actually wonder, is that even true? Honestly, I think from a young age, I was taught not to trust my inner knowing between right and wrong, between good and bad. And that led me to believing that other people's acceptance of my actions and words was the measuring stick to my happiness. As a child, I spoke up against a horrific wrong that was done to me. And I believed that if I told the truth, people would believe me and hold the perpetrator accountable. But sadly, that didn't happen. I was told that it was my word against his, and his words and actions were more believable than mine. At 13 years old, I learned that it wasn't what actually happened that mattered. It was what people perceived that mattered. Grown adults in position of power told me that I was a liar, my story wasn't enough, aka I wasn't enough, and ultimately that I deserved what happened. I spent the next few decades trying to live up to their belief. As early as middle school, I began to party, skip school, have sex, put myself in situations that were risky and with people that really didn't care about me. I sabotaged my success in school and sports, both of which I excelled at, by showing up to school high or mouthing off to adults, provoking them to punish me. I was an angry, unpredictable, and severely unhappy teenage girl. I eventually found some happiness on a yoga mat in a sweaty YMCA with ladies that were easily 30 years older than me. Stepping on my yoga mat felt like transporting to a magical place of acceptance and love, and I fully felt happy. This led me to becoming a certified yoga teacher and opening my own yoga studio. For the first couple of years, I created a safe space for myself through the art of teaching with compassion. I was really happy. People were flooding in. My classes were packed at the point where I was having to turn people away at the door, and I was being booked for big yoga conferences and international yoga retreats. Cue another opportunity to self-sabotage my success and allow others to determine my worth. It was like I was too happy and I needed to do something to not let myself be happy. Leaning into the comfort on the mat and having others actually see me really scared me. The last time I let people see and hear me, I was harshly misjudged and sent on a path of self-destruction. So I invited others to teach at the studio with me and to join me on business ventures that would ultimately break my spirit and love for what I had created. In a short period of time, I was able to prove that I was unstable, unreliable, and a poor businesswoman. Score another one for that pissed off and scared 13-year-old girl. It wasn't until my son left for college that I realized that happiness is a choice and not a destination or something that others can give you. After 3 days of crying and grieving him being 3 states away, I decided to use all that extra time that I had on my hands now to focus on myself. This included weekly talk therapy, going to the gym, daily walks, music, friends, trying new things, being honest with myself, deep tissue massage, meditation, and even dating. All which helped me move towards choosing to be happy versus waiting to be happy. After decades of seeking external validation, self-sabotage, and hiding myself from the world, I knew it would take time to learn to move through the world in a different way. My core beliefs on happiness and love were lies that I had to confront. It would take years of practicing self-compassion and self-validation to honor the 13-year-old girl that was so wrongfully judged. She deserved better. She deserves to be happy. Every day, I choose a positive healing path for her. Let's talk about something we don't discuss enough, your nervous system. Because happiness isn't just a mindset issue, it's also a nervous system issue. When you're operating in survival mode, your brain isn't asking, how can I experience more joy? It's asking, how do I stay safe? Anxiety, burnout, chronic stress, trauma, PTSD, and grief, they all impact your ability to access happiness. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because your brain is prioritizing survival. Think about the last time you were extremely overwhelmed. Did you suddenly become inspired to appreciate the beauty of life? Probably not. You were just trying to survive a Wednesday. I think this is also why I am really, really triggered by people who would say to me, don't you have so much to be grateful for? Look around. Look at all the things you have to be grateful for. And it comes back to my nervous system not being in that space of let's experience joy, let's focus on the positive. It was in that survival space of this is not a safe place for me, and I just need to get through this moment. And that's okay. Happiness isn't something we force, it's something we create space for, one regulated moment at a time. A lot of people think happiness means feeling good all the time, and it doesn't. Healthy happiness includes sadness, grief, disappointment, frustration, and fear. The happiest people aren't people who never struggle. They're people who allow themselves to experience all of life, not just the pleasant parts. So I have this mindfulness activity that I want to share with you. I want us to do it together. It's called Leaves on a Stream. And I really like this exercise. It's excellent for people who struggle with anxiety, intrusive thoughts, or self-criticism, or heck, all three, right? Who are we kidding? Instead of trying to stop thoughts, we are going to practice letting them pass by. So first, we're going to get comfortable. Sit comfortably, close your eyes if that feels safe. Again, if you are driving while you're listening to this, we are not closing our eyes. Bookmark this episode and come back to this portion of the episode to do this if you are driving. All right, here we go. Imagine yourself sitting beside a gently flowing stream. Picture leaves floating down the stream. The water is moving at its own pace. There's no rushing it. Now, as thoughts start to arise, place each one on a leaf and watch it float away. Maybe some of the thoughts are, I'm not good enough. What if something goes wrong? I should have handled that differently. I feel overwhelmed. Try not to analyze the thought. Don't argue with it. Simply just place it on the leaf and let it be carried down the stream. Your mind will wander, and that's totally normal. When you notice you've become caught up in a thought, gently say, there I go thinking again. And then place that thought on a leaf and return to watching the stream. After a few minutes, place this final thought on a leaf. I do not have to solve everything right now. And watch it float away. Take a slow, deep breath in and ask yourself, if I didn't have to believe every thought I think, what would feel possible today? Now, I love this exercise because it helps bring your nervous system back into the present moment, because happiness can only be experienced in the present moment, not yesterday, not in tomorrow, only here. Allowing myself to fully feel happiness still feels a little unsafe and unnatural. I am an expert, though, at fully feeling sad, anxious, overwhelmed, stressed, and angry. I could probably get my PhD in all of those feelings. What feels a little more safe to me is practicing gratitude, like encouraging yourself to be happy under an alias. But of course, I have to do it in a different way because it wouldn't be me if I followed the pack. I have tried to keep a gratitude journal, guys, in the past, and they always feel disingenuous. Like at the end of the day, my list would read something like this. Today, I am grateful for sunshine, the smell of coffee, and a hot shower. Like too many times. Now, that is a great list for an occasion, but not on constant repeat. I also have this trigger about people telling me to be more grateful. So I shifted it to, wow, that's amazing, instead of, I am grateful for. I also don't write it down. I say it in my mind or I say it out loud in real time as it's happening. So when I see a beautiful glowing moon, I say, wow, that's amazing. When I feel a nice breeze on my face, I say, wow, that's amazing. When my son does something without me having to ask him first, I say, wow, that's amazing. When my partner leans over to kiss me on the cheek while we're watching a movie, I say, wow, that's amazing. And when I make it to the top of a hill while hiking, even while huffing and puffing, I say, wow, that's amazing. For me, this helps me stay present and aware of how many amazing moments actually happen each day. Some days there are enough amazing moments to camouflage the negative ones, and sometimes the not so amazing moments steal the day. But that's the practice. It's the practice that helps me balance it all out. One of the longest studies on happiness ever conducted was the Harvard study of adult development. And after decades of research, the strongest predictor of happiness wasn't money or success or fame. It was relationships, connection, belonging, meaning, community, love. That makes sense because some of the happiest moments in our lives aren't huge. They're ordinary moments shared with people we love. It's a conversation, a laugh, a hug, a memory, a feeling of belonging. I think happiness often shows up in moments we weren't trying to create, moments where we were fully present, moments where we stopped chasing and simply experience. Let's be clear, gratitude doesn't mean ignoring hard things. You can be grateful and struggling. You can be grateful and grieving. You can be grateful and healing. Both things can be true. Happiness grows when we expand our awareness, not when we deny reality. Let's do this together, guys. Deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Ask yourself, what makes me lose track of time? What makes me laugh? What makes me feel connected? What brings me peace? When was the last time I intentionally did those things? Happiness often leaves clues. We just stop paying attention. I don't know if I'll ever get married again. I mean, after 2 divorces, why bother, right? I say I don't want to be married again, but maybe I do. Or maybe I just don't want to be divorced again. Either way, I was thinking about the vows we make to another person when we do marry them and wondered, what if we made that same commitment to ourselves and our happiness? Maybe it would sound something like this. I, Carla Jean, take my happiness to have and to hold from this day forward. for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and cherish, until death do us part. What do you think? Should I pull a Dennis Rodman and marry myself? If you don't understand that reference, that's what Google's for. All right, you guys, I want to leave you with some resources for this episode. And there are 3 books. I will leave them in the show notes on the website, carlajean143.com. The first one is called The Happiness Trap, and it's by Russ Harris. It's a powerful guide to breaking free from the myth that you must eliminate negative thoughts to be happy. It's based on acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT. This book provides practical tools for stress, anxiety, and emotional resilience. The second one is called The How of Happiness, a Scientific Approach to Getting the Life You Want by Sonia Lubomirsky, a research-based guide to understanding and cultivating happiness through evidence-based practice. And the last one is called The Book of Joy by the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu, a deeply insightful conversation on joy, suffering, resilience, and finding meaning even during life's difficult seasons. Before we go, I want you to consider this question. What if happiness isn't waiting for you somewhere in the future? What if some version of it is already available today? Not because everything is perfect, but because happiness was never about perfection. It was always about presence. A quote from The How of Happiness reads, "Happiness is not a destination. It is a way of traveling." End quote. I have learned that it's a collection of moments, a conversation, a laugh, a deep breath, a sunset, a friend, a cup of coffee, a moment where you realize life isn't perfect, but it's still beautiful. And that's enough. All right, that's what I have for you today. If this episode resonated with you, subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Share it with a friend who keeps postponing happiness until life is a little less messy. You can connect with me on Instagram at _Carla Jean 143. And for more resources, the show notes, and wellness tools like my new nervous system reset energy courses, you can visit carlajean143.com. And also follow me on YouTube, Carla Jean 143. Until next time, take a deep breath, drink some water, and stop making happiness wait for perfect conditions. This is Balanced But Barely. I am your host, Carla Jean Lundgren, and we are figuring this out together.